Peace and blessings. This is Rayesa Gheewala, and today is Tuesday. We're checking in, our weekly check-in, and I've been getting a lot of questions, and guilt has been coming up a lot. And whether you decided that you wanted to end your marriage, it was time to end your marriage, or you initiated the divorce, or whether your husband initiated the divorce, or whether it was both mutual, women still tend to feel guilt. And a lot of the things that come up with that is, I am doing something intentionally that is displeasing to Allah, right? At the same time, in terms of divorce, it's a big, huge form of guilt in terms of I'm doing something that is not liked by Allah, and it's an out, meaning it's there if needed, but it's displeasing to Allah, right? And so we start to, through that guilt, we start to say, well, can I just tolerate whatever it is I'm tolerating? And then when we get into that questioning, is it really that bad? I've been dealing with whatever you've been dealing with for so long. Why make the change now, right? I can just deal with it if, I'll be doing something, I'll be staying in my marriage, which is more pleasing to Allah. But I think getting back to the place of recognizing what is the purpose of marriage, and recognizing what is the purpose of you. Like, why were you created? What was the purpose of your creation? Why were you created? And why are you here on this earth? Yes, through our roles, we can fulfill that purpose. But remembering that your roles and your responsibilities are very different than your identity, where identity comes from being a creation of Allah, being a servant of Allah, and that's how you identify yourself. And everything else is roles, right? Whether you're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a wife, you're a caretaker, you're an employee, whatever you are, those are your roles that you can fulfill your purpose of creation through, but it's not your identity. So getting back to, kind of breaking it down in terms of, okay, is this what Allah wants for me? Being in this type of a marriage at all costs. Now, everyone is going through different things. Some people are even experiencing abuse, whether it's emotional abuse, or physical abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse. It can come in different forms, and one is not worse than the other, or more. Abuse is abuse. And yes, physical abuse, you can see scars, but emotional and spiritual abuse, you can't see the physical scars of it until it's too late. There's not as apparent, but it's the internal harm that happens. And you have to ask yourself, is this why Allah created me? Is this why Allah made me to be and stay in this marriage at all costs, right? To every end. And I'm not a proponent of divorce in terms of, taking it lightly. And I am a proponent of doing whatever it takes to leave no stone unturned, to fight for your marriage, to be the best person you can be, to have the best marriage. But we all know that divorce is there as an out. It is there. It's not there for an out at every time you get upset, but it's there. If you've tried everything and you have left no stone unturned, and it just can't be. And there's many examples in the Sunnah, and many examples during the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, where people initiated divorces for many different reasons. They didn't wait until it was so bad that they were dealing with abuse. And, Allah tells us also in the chapter on divorce that stay in kindness or separate with kindness and justice and fairness. So that is, if you are just in a marriage because you feel that the guilt of doing something that is displeasing to Allah, remember that Allah is ordering you to stay in justice and fairness and kindness in a marriage. And if you're finding that there's so much anger and resentment and pain and hurt that is not able to be resolved, then remember that, hey, Unique, it's good to see you. Assalamu alaikum. Remember that Allah orders us to stay in a marriage with kindness, fairness, and justice, or to separate through the same way. And so if you're finding that you are in a situation where you're hurting each other through your words or your actions because of the built up anger and resentment, and that your marriage has turned into a war zone, and then what is there to feel guilty about? Because remember what the purpose of your life is and the purpose of your marriage is, and that being a wife is a role. It's not your identity. Your identity first comes from being a creation and a servant of Allah. So I hope that was helpful in terms of how to deal with guilt in terms of divorce. Nobody wants to get divorced when they get married. We don't think of it that way. And like I said, it's each person is going to know whether they did whatever was possible and left no stone unturned in order to save and protect their marriage, in terms of trying to it to be a marriage. But Allah doesn't tell us marriage at all costs. It's not till death do you part, which is not an Islamic concept for marriage. It's really what does your marriage look like? Are you staying in kindness and fairness and justice with each other, or is it just, you're just in a marriage? Either fix it or resolve it so you can both move forward as people of kindness and fairness and justice with each other and even your children. Hey Aisha, assalamu alaikum, good to see you. I was just finishing up in terms of guilt and getting back to the knowing your purpose of creation, of why you're here, and knowing the purpose of marriage, what it is. Hey Halima, assalamu alaikum, good to see you. I was just talking about guilt that women experience in terms of going through divorce, whether you initiated it, whether your ex initiated it, or whether it was a mutual decision. When people find that they're hurting each other more than having peace and mercy and love and respect and understanding, which is what marriage is all about, right? Having a covering for each other. If you're not living that way in your marriage, of being a garment for each other and protecting each other emotionally, then it's time to change that. And if you've worked and put an effort in changing that, and you found that it's not changing or not working, even when you have left no stone unturned, it's time to start thinking about doing the right thing for the right reasons, and not just because you want an out. But if you cannot live in kindness and justice and peace and fairness, then Allah tells us in the Quran, in the chapter on divorce, to separate with kindness and justice and fairness in that way. So let me know if you have any questions and anything else comes up for you in terms of guilt. Now, I know as women, as moms, we feel guilt a lot, in terms of, just being, are we doing enough? Are we being enough? Are we enough in terms of all of our different roles, whether it's being a wife or whether it's being a mother or a sister or a daughter, feeling content with doing the best that you can and knowing that it's good enough. So leave me your comments or your questions here, and I will answer it and check it. But I hope that was helpful in terms of how to look at the feelings of guilt, and your thinking around it. So thank you for hopping on and joining me today, and leave me some suggestions or any other topics you want me to talk about in terms of our check-in on Tuesdays. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum.